Hi, video on examining how can we discover our indifferent features using the Kano Model Survey responses. This is a continuation of the series that I've done where I've already covered how we discover performance features, delighter features, and reverse features and must-have features. Now, the indifferent features are also a category that you need to be aware of, because indifferent means it neither leads to any specific increase or decrease of satisfaction level. People may just be kind of neutral to it. So what are those features? Because it's important to understand, especially when you're short of time in your project team or in your product team and you want to prioritize. It's important that we don't spend a lot of time on the indifferent features and in the process miss out some must-have features, or we could have actually spent that time and given a delighter feature, but we were happily doing a lot of these indifferent features. So it's very important to have this category also sorted out. So let's find out how we'll do that. As usual, I will just give you a quick overview about the two questions, or the two types of questions that we would use for each feature. The functional and the dysfunctional. The functional is if we include feature A, what would be your response? That is inclusion. I'm checking how they would respond if I'm going to include it. And the dysfunctional is if I do not include feature A, what would be your response? And the choices could be, I like it, I expect it, I'm neutral, I can tolerate, or I dislike it. Any one of these options the customer can choose. And once you have your survey responses, for each feature for a particular client or customer or stakeholder or beneficiary, we will do this tabulation, or we will use this reference table to understand how do we infer the responses that they give to the two types of questions for a particular feature. So let's say they had said for the negative question, that is, if we do not include feature A, what would be your response? Let's assume that the person says, I expect it, that I expect that you're not going to be giving me this feature A. Now, conversely, when I ask the question, the functional question, and they say, I'm neutral to it. I'm neutral to it if you include it. If you include feature A, I'm going to be neutral about it. If you do not include it, I expect you not to be giving it. So that is a strong indication. When you combine these two responses, you have an indifferent feature. You include it, not include it, it's not going to be really making too much of a difference. Same way, let's assume they had chosen, I can tolerate it, not including it. If you're going to include it, I can tolerate it. If you're going to include feature A, I can tolerate it. It's not going to make me happy, or I am not saying I like it or I dislike it. I'm just saying I can tolerate it. It's okay, I can tolerate it. And for the same person had said that I had chosen, I expect that you're not going to be giving me that feature A. Again, it shows indifference. Doesn't matter to that person. Same way, let's assume to the dysfunctional question, the person said, I'm neutral about it. I'm neutral. And for the functional question, they say that I expect you to be including that feature. Again, they said, I'm neutral if you don't give it to me. I expect you to provide it to me. It's an indication that that's an indifferent feature. In the next one, the next entry, they have already said I'm neutral to non-inclusion, and for the inclusion they say that I'm neutral as well. Obviously, it's a neutral, indifferent. And if they have chosen I can tolerate it, and they were neutral to the non-inclusion, I can tolerate the inclusion and I'm neutral to the non-inclusion, again, it's a sign of indifference. So you have got three types of indifferent features here, three types of indifferent features or requirements. Same way, for a particular feature A, let's say they had chosen this I can tolerate it option to the dysfunctional question or negative question. And for the functional, they say I expect it, again indifferent. They say I'm neutral to the functional question, indifferent. They say I can tolerate it, and they choose I can tolerate it. That is now there are these unknown categories, the white entries that you can see, the three or four entries with unknown. That is a sign that that response is not something that you can rely on. It is not really adding any value. So let's skip that for the moment and let's look at these 1, 2, plus 2, 2 plus 2, 4 plus 3, 7 ways in which you can discover your indifferent features. And as I said, indifferent feature, just make sure that you classify them, and while prioritizing the features or requirements that you will include in your product or service experience, make sure that you do not spend a lot of time beautifying these or including these indifferent features, and in the process you miss out some must-have feature, or you miss out the option to deliver on a delighter feature. That's what you've got to make sure as a project or product manager. That's something that you've got to keep in mind. Yeah. All right. So we have by now we have covered all the categories. How do we decipher or discover performance features? How do we discover delighter features? How do we discover must-have features? How do we discover reverse features? And with this video, we have also looked at the indifferent features. So on that note, I wish you all the best with your Kano Model Survey, and make sure that you cover the functional and dysfunctional ways of checking with your clients, that you do not just ask a positive question and make some conclusion based on that. This will help you a lot when you start prioritizing, making those priority calls. This level of analysis is definitely going to increase your chances of higher satisfaction levels, provided you include the must-haves. Do not skip any must-have. Start adding a few performance features, and make sure if you can include at least one or two delighted features, make sure that you are including that. So whenever you put up you start refining your product backlog for a particular sprint, or you want to decide the contents for a particular release of your product or project, just make sure that your product backlog can take such inputs from your Kano model analysis as well, so that the prioritization is well thought through and not based on some heuristics or certain random assumptions that you're making. You think that people like what you're providing, etc. Don't make those assumptions on behalf of them. Find out from your customers, make these jot down all these responses to the functional and dysfunctional questions, tabulate them, and use this reference table in order to arrive at that proper classification. And in this spreadsheet, I think in the workshop I had explained that the tabulation can be done automatically. So by the way, this is not my own spreadsheet. I've taken it from that, that source is referenced in the earlier sheet. I've given the reference over here. So they have an automated way in which they've used certain formula to find out. If I give a positive response, I like it, and a negative response, I expect it, then it means that it's a delighter. So they have used this mapping. So what you need to do is, for each feature, for all your clients or customers, these are all the different customers. So there are probably responses you've got from 10 or 12 customers, and for each one of them, you do this categorization based on a combination, or by combining the responses of I like it and I expect it, and you figured out that that is a delighter. So do this for all the clients. Those are the rows that you can see are all the customers, and likewise do it for the respective features. So let's say you have feature 1, feature 2, feature 3, feature 5, 4, 5, etc. Put the 4, 5, etc. as additional columns on the right. For each feature, you need to have 4 columns, 3 columns, the positive, the negative, and the category. And you are using this mapping table, which I explained in all these videos, in order to arrive at the classification. And once the classification is done, you do a tabulation. You basically find out how many clients have said a particular feature is delighter. So as you can see here, feature 3, 5 customers have said feature 3 is a delighter. 3 customers have said feature 1 is a delighter. Likewise, reverse features, 7 customers have said that feature 2 is the reverse feature for them. So you need to be very careful. Please don't end up implementing feature 2 and miss out providing feature 3 or feature 1. You understand? That is how you make these inferences, or these indifferent features. 3 people have said feature 1 is indifferent. Don't end up doing an indifferent feature and and a reverse feature, and in the process miss out your must-have or delighter feature. So this is how you do the tabulation. So the good thing about this template from this website is that all this tabulation in this spreadsheet is done automatically. I've just used the same thing and did a little bit of coloring and given this explanation in this video. So with that, I would like to conclude my series on how to discover your features categories based on the Kano Model Survey responses by combining the responses that you get to your functional and dysfunctional queries. So on that note, I wish you all the best with your Kano Model surveys. Go ahead, do a thorough analysis and make those informed choices when you do your priority calls, and let's go ahead and make a very well refined backlog file for your upcoming sprints. So I hope to see you soon in another video where I will look at the time aspect of Kano model. Remember, we spoke about in the workshop, we mentioned that certain features which were delighters 1 year back or 5 years back might become a performance feature now, and in future it may even become I may even be indifferent about it. So I'll give I'll share some thoughts, some further thoughts about it in one of the upcoming videos. So until then, enjoy your Kano Model Survey tabulation and see you soon. Take care. Have a great day. Bye.